Hey, this is Jessica from GoodEnoughandStuff.com. Let's go pick some mulberries and make some tarts.
Lost in the sight of you alone. Here I'll stay till dawn. The breeze in the sky sings me a song. Here.
A word of caution really quick. Identifying mulberries is not very difficult because there aren't a lot of berries that look like them, but always use caution when picking and eating things in the wild. Make sure you always check and compare pictures of the leaf shapes and berries so you know you've identified things correctly. Mulberries are a delightful summer berry. They're sweet, juicy, and fun to pick. The red and black mulberries taste like a mix between blackberries and grapefruit without any of the bitterness. They're tangy and sweet. Whereas the white mulberries taste like figs, like really sweet and kind of leafy tasting. You can find them in a variety of colors, but they all basically have the same shape. They look like long blackberries, but they grow in a tree instead of a spiky vine, which is a nice change from a lot of the stuff you can pick in Texas. The leaves are interesting because one tree will often present several different leaf shapes. Some will be shaped more like hearts, and some will have asymmetrical lobes. You can see here that both of these shapes are growing right next to each other. The leaves grow alternately on the branch and have jagged edges. The top of the leaf will be darker and often glossy, while the underside is lighter and dull. Mulberries have a long fruiting season from May through August, and they really do just keep producing fruit. We go on bike rides and walks a lot, and it's so fun to keep going back to the same trees for a little snack. My kids love it, and picking berries is one of my favorite things to do. We usually pick the berries by hand, and it's easier to see them if you look underneath the branches. Another common way to pick them is by spreading a sheet on the ground underneath the tree and gently shaking the branches. The fruit will fall off really easily this way, and you can just gather them in the sheet. We tried that method when all of our kids were a lot younger, and it got pretty messy, but that's fun too.
Breathing the breeze in, trying to grow. Lost in the sight of you alone. Here I'll stay till dawn.
Once you've got your berries, you'll probably notice little tan bugs all over them. If you ate some right off the tree, you probably ate some bugs, but that's okay, you just got some extra protein for the day, right? If you just rinse the berries, the bugs will still be there. The best way to get rid of them is to dump them into a bowl full of water and just a little bit of vinegar. The bugs will float to the top and you can just drain them off. If you do this 2 or 3 times, then you should be good to go. I experimented with a few recipes for the white mulberries, but I wasn't really happy with the results, so I guess I'll just have to try again next year. For the regular mulberries, I made a couple of different things. First, I made a sauce for some ice cream by combining 1 cup of mulberries, 1 cup of water, 1 tablespoon of sugar, and 2 teaspoons of lemon juice. I cooked it on the stove for about 5 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes, and then I blended everything together. In hindsight, I should have removed the stems first. They didn't really soften or blend in as much as I thought they would, but the sauce was still really delicious. I was just kind of picking stems out every few bites.
Indiana rose. I caught a glimpse of you out on the road. Quiet like a dove. You're whispering a symphony unknown.
My favorite mulberry recipe I made was mini tarts. I had to start out with some frozen mulberries from last year that we had just picked over a few weeks and then just thrown them into the freezer, but I made sure to pull all of the stems off this time. You might want to wear gloves while taking off the stems. My fingers were stained black for like several days after this, and I'm sorry, but there's going to be some close-up shots of them while I'm showing you how to do the dough, and it makes me look like I have frostbite or some skin disease, or I'm just like really dirty, and I promise it's just the mulberries. To make the filling, combine 3 cups of mulberries, 3/4 of a cup of sugar, a 1/3 cup of flour, and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and then just mix those all up together. For the crust, you'll need 1 batch of my easy pie crust recipe. I've used this crust for at least 2 of my other videos and it's amazing. Flaky, delicious, and most importantly, easy and reliable. I'll leave a link below for the videos and for the printable recipe on my blog. I split the dough and covered half in plastic wrap because I don't have a large work surface. Lightly flour the table, your dough, and rolling pin, then roll the dough out to 1/8 of an inch thick. Just wanted to show you a close-up. That shortening marbling is exactly what you want to see for a flaky crust. Since I'm using a mini muffin tin for the tarts, I needed a circle cutter that was slightly larger than the muffin sections. I found this circle that works perfectly. I don't think it's even a cookie cutter, just something from the kids' stuff, but it works really well. You could use like a lid or a biscuit cutter or just use a knife and cut it freehand. Preheat your oven to 400 degrees and then cut out 24 circles per half of the dough or just 48 total. Spray the pan and then press the circles into the sections, smushing the bottom to get rid of any air holes and press the sides to get the dough closer to the top. It's okay if it seems pretty thin in spots. Now I'm going to use this cute fork from my grandma to poke some holes into each crust so they won't puff up. Now spoon a heaping teaspoon of the filling into the crusts. Add a small amount of butter to each tart and then they're ready to go into the oven. This thumbs up is not very reassuring with my Beetlejuice hands. Bake the mini tarts at 400 degrees for 15 to 17 minutes or until the crust is golden brown. You can mix together 1 cup of powdered sugar and 2 teaspoons of milk for something to drizzle over the tarts, or you can just eat them plain. That's what I prefer.
Breeze in the sky sings me a song. Here I'll stay till dawn. Lost in the sight of you alone. Here I'll stay till dawn.
Hey, thanks for watching my video. I hope you liked it and I hope that you can go make some tarts yourself. Just remember to be careful when you're identifying any berries in the wild, to really look at pictures and to make sure you've got the right thing. I did a few recipes with the white mulberries and they're okay. I think I just like to eat them just plain, or maybe you'd eat them with other things like with some granola. They're just so sweet and there isn't a lot of like zip to them like the regular mulberries. Even when I added things like lemon, I just don't feel like it went very well. I think the closest thing that I got to something that was good tasting that I might make again, maybe next year I'll try it again when the white mulberries are like more in season. I spiced them kind of like apple pie and then I put that with cream cheese and a crust, and that actually was pretty good. But I definitely prefer the regular mulberries to the white mulberries. For the free printable recipe, you can go over to my website, goodenoughandstuff.com. You can find all kinds of recipes and crafts and just fun things for families to do and lunches and dinners and things like that. And I'm constantly adding to it every week or two. So keep checking back to that. And I will leave the link below for that. Thank you for watching and I'll see you next time. Bye.
Lost in the sight of you alone. Here I'll stay.